I guess you know by now that the orange psychopath who squats in the White House on a huge mound of cheeseburgers and French fries, last night, Tuesday night, threatened to derail months of work in Congress to deliver this $900 billion in coronavirus relief to us, Americans, a country battered, beaten down, turned suicidal or homicidal by this pandemic. Now, we know that the orange bastard did nothing, nor did Mitch McConnell do anything. Since last July, June or July, it may have been before that, when the Democrats submitted the second pandemic relief bill. It's not a stimulus bill, it's a relief bill. And I wish people would stop calling it a stimulus. They're not trying to stimulate anything. The idea is to help Americans hold on until we can put this COVID-19 killer in check. I don't know that we'll ever defeat it, but we can put it in check to the point where the COVID-19 virus tips over its queen, or its king, so to speak, huh? Did you see the Queen's Gambit? Then you know what I'm talking about. Well, if you play chess, you know what I'm talking about. Which has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the orange bastard who in that, what was it, a YouTube video or a Twitter video, whatever the hell it was, where Trump threatened, after not having anything to do with the negotiations, not adding a goddamn dime's worth of input, nothing, because he has nothing to offer. He is a scum-sucking criminal. He has nothing to offer. And Mitch McConnell sat on his ass for months while the Democrats had put together a comprehensive coronavirus relief bill to help in so many areas that are just collapsing. I mean, we really are. I know it's the season to be jolly. Not this year, it isn't. But the orange bastard squatted in the White House and did nothing until last night. And last night, the little bullshit trick he pulled out of his hat had nothing to do with coronavirus relief, had nothing to do with anything positive or good or honorable or decent, had to do simply with Trump sticking his finger in Mitch McConnell's eye. That's what this was all about. Because Mitch McConnell went ahead and acknowledged that come January 6th, the United States Senate and the House is going to confirm the election of Joe Biden through this formality bullshit of the Electoral College votes. And because McConnell had the absolute audacity to do that, to just state what's going to happen. This is Trump's response. This has nothing to do. Trump doesn't believe in giving families or individuals $2,000 in coronavirus relief. Are you kidding me? That's money that he could steal. He's not going to give it away. But he stood there on camera and said that the bill passed the other day by enormous margins, I think yesterday in the House and the Senate, veto-proof margins. He called that bill a disgrace. You filthy, hypocritical prick. A disgrace. What have you done, orange bastard, to make it not a disgrace? Nothing. You've been talking about how you won by a landslide, right? Your baseless claim that the election was stolen from you. But what this scumsucker did, he seized on the leaders of Congress' decision to pass this relief bill by combining it with a broader spending plan that would include funding the government, that again, and the military. You know, I'm old enough to remember when a spending bill would be passed every year at the beginning of the fiscal year. When is that? June, July, August? I don't even know. But it would be a year's worth of spending and tax collecting. The whole Megillah, so to speak, would be passed in ample time for it to go into effect. And now, well, how long has it been since we've had an entire year spending bill passed? I can't even tell you. With these filthy Christian fascists in charge, the former Republican Party, the spending bills necessary to keep this country operating are usually 30, 60, 90-day emergency bills until the 30, 60, 90 days are up, and then another 30, 60, 90-day emergency bill because the Republicans refuse, the Christian fascists refuse to act in ways responsible, fiscally responsible, as well as responsible in a sense of actually governing this country. They won't do it. Now, the spending plan that the Congress passed includes routine provisions like foreign aid and support for this country's institutions like the Smithsonian, the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. I'm sure the Orange Bastard hates the fact that Kennedy's name leads that institution in defining it. But the Orange Bastard portrayed items like that, the Kennedy Center, the Smithsonian, as wasteful and unnecessary additions to the coronavirus legislation. Now, listen, I'm going to quote for you what he said. And this is a classic example of his total belligerent ignorance. The son of a bitch doesn't know and never has known what he is supposed to be doing as the president of the United States. Here's what he said, quote, "It's called the COVID relief bill, but it almost has nothing to do with COVID." Oh, my God. It has almost nothing to do with COVID. And then he added, "Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests while sending the bare minimum to the American people," end quote. Excuse me while I gag, as if this orange piece of waste cared a single bit about the American people. There's only one thing Trump cares about, and we know this now. We've known it all along, should have known it. You knew it 4 years ago. I knew it 4 years ago, but a bunch of dumb bastards in this country didn't know it. The only thing he cares about is himself. So then the jackass said, quote, "I'm asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 for each individual." Now, Pelosi, for her part, who had been pressing for that size relief check, immediately welcomed Trump's intervention. Immediately. She said on Twitter, quote, "Republicans repeatedly refused to say what amount the president wanted for direct checks. At last, the president has agreed to $2,000. Democrats are ready to bring this to the floor this week by unanimous consent. Let's do it," end quote. Now, unanimous consent means they just immediately take a vote on it. They don't have to sit and go through all this committee and subcommittee horse shit. They just unanimous consent. Let's vote on it. So that's planned for tomorrow, New Year's Eve day. Democrats plan to bring up this $2,000 payment for a vote by unanimous consent tomorrow. This would be hysterically funny, except we have millions of people in this country who are suffering the worst kind of suffering, not able to pay rent or a mortgage payment, not able to get medical help, not able to buy goddamn food, not able to go to work. But aside from that, this would be funny, wouldn't it? Trump has, now here's the thing to consider. Supposing Trump and McConnell had planned this to begin with. McConnell said, listen, here's what I'll do. I'll make sure that something goes through with a minimal amount of money for individuals and families. Say, I don't know, Donnie, how about $600? And Donnie says, hey, that sounds good, Mitchie. Okay. And then I'll come back, the orange bastard said, and offer $2,000. And that'll get you off the hook, and you'll get me off the hook, and everybody can go home and fuck the American people. How's that? And then the two of them toasted a glass of Ovaltine and said, a done deal. Now, that's just one scenario. I don't think that happened, but it's a possibility because Trump would not deign to lower himself to speak with Mitch McConnell, not at this point. And if they did have a face-to-face sit-down, McConnell would not buckle under to Trump because McConnell recognizes decay when he sees it. Well, all he has to do is look in the mirror, but he can see that Trump is decaying in front of McConnell's eyes. So McConnell's not going to cut a deal with the orange bastard. But that's a possible scenario. Now, the truth is, and we've witnessed this in recent weeks, congressional leaders in this bipartisan group of moderates. In the first place, the Democratic Party shouldn't have any moderates. In the second place, such a thing does not exist in the Christian Fascist Party. But just for the sake of what I'm quoting out of this New York Times article, I'll go with their word, moderates. A group of bipartisan moderates have worked around the clock to come up with this relief package, which is aimed at, among other things, saving businesses from closing, funding distribution of these vaccines, and providing, and here's the stumbling block. This is what Trump saw and said, fuck this. Providing Joe Biden with a stable economy when he takes office in January. Oh no, that's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a wrecking ball, a destroyer. He is a sick, psychotic bastard who sees nothing unless it has a huge gold T on it for Trump. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.